Football is a game loved by millions around the world. But when a promising Cameroonian football player on the brink of a European move and awaiting a call up to the national team ends up dead, and the mystery surrounding his death raises more questions than answers, his families need to preserve his legacy by fighting for justice and begging for answers to what happened to their son, who did not deserve to die doing what he loved. Bonjour and welcome back to another story, the home of African true crime and your #1 channel for solved, unsolved and mysterious African cases. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications for more African true crime content. In today's story, we start in the West African country of Cameroon. Cameroon, a country that offers its locals and visitors a unique and diverse landscape, as well as terrains that represents each of the continent's climatic zones, including rainforest, desert, swamp, savanna and beaches, hence why it is often referred to as Africa in miniature. It is the home to over 200 different linguistic groups and is well known for Makossa and Bikutsi, which is the country's native style of music. The country boasts of its successful national football team, popularly known as the Indomitable Lions, which represents the country in men's international football. In the concluded African Cup of Nations AFCON tournament, Cameroon suffered elimination at the hands of their Western arch-rivals, Nigeria, in the round of 16. The national team has had a number of successes in previous years, having won 5 African Cup of Nations, and it is well known that Cameroon is the only African country to defeat Brazil in tournament play, twice in the 2003 Confederations Cup and recently in the 2022 FIFA World Cup. The team has great talent, boasting some of the finest players the country has produced, the likes of Samuel Eto'o, Joel Matip and Alex Song, just to name a few. In the race to become one of the country's greats was a young 24-year-old Albert Ebosse Bodjongo. Albert Ebosse was born on the 6th of October 1989 to parents Andre Bodjongo and Marie Bodjongo in Douala, a coastal city along the Atlantic Ocean in Cameroon. From an early age, Ebosse played football and he played as striker or forward position. He would go on to join his hometown club, Douala Athletic Club, in the MTN Elite 2, which is Cameroon's national second division. He would join Cotton Sport FC in 2008 and afterwards join Unisport Bafang in 2010. His talent would enable him to be signed 2 years later by Malaysian club Perak FA. On his debut at his new club, he scored his first goal for the club in a match that ended in a 2-2 draw with Terengganu FA. After his short stint in Malaysia, he joined jskabylie, JSK, a club based in the northern Algerian city of Tizi Ouzou, who play in the country's top flight league, and in the span of a few short months, Albert would become the top scorer of the Algerian Championship in 2014, with 17 goals to his name and his team securing runners-up position. His talent was in full display every time he stepped onto the pitch. For his country, Albert had 6 caps for the national team, mainly with the B team and also for the country's under-20 team in 2009. 23rd August 2014, JSK had a local home match at their first November 1954 stadium, named for the date of the founding of the National Liberation Front, which was able to obtain independence for Algeria from France. JSK was playing against USM Alger. The match went ahead with both teams giving spirited efforts. The referee's final whistle blew, and the match ended in a 2-1 defeat for JSK, with Albert contributing to his team's sole goal from the penalty spot. While the two teams were leaving the field at the end of the match and headed towards the dressing rooms, the disappointed home fans, with a well-known reputation for unrest, threw objects onto the field from the stands at the two teams. Albert was struck on the head by a projectile that was thrown by an unknown fan from his team. JSK would later announce that Albert had succumbed to a head injury, sustained from a rock being thrown at him by the fans. This tragic news would not only bewilder his teammates, fans and his own family, but even the public in Algeria and his own country, Cameroon. The Algerian sports minister at the time, Minister Mohamed Fahmy, would state publicly 2 weeks after Albert's death that a piece of slate, which could be found outside the stadium from a building construction, was the cause of Albert's fatal injury. The club, JSK, would also face punishment and the league would be suspended. JSK's home stadium would be closed indefinitely, and the club was barred from playing at home for the season, and even were almost relegated that season. Their fans were banned from attending any matches home and away until the start of the following year. The club was made to pay tribute, and talks about the prevention of similar cases in future was had. The Algerian Football Federation and the Algerian government paid the Ebosse family $100,000 in compensation. After this, things went silent, but only for a while. Albert's body would be sent back to Cameroon, and 4 months after Albert's death, his family hired the services of a pathologist, Dr. André Moon, who would reveal shocking details about Albert's cause of death and blow the mystery wide open. His findings would be sent to the Algerian and Cameroonian authorities for further action. In his findings, he concluded that Albert did not die as a result of a projectile hitting him on the head. He further went on to say a video from Albert's last match showed the victim surrounded by police and leaving the pitch heading towards the dressing rooms. The doctor seemed to rule out completely the possibility of a projectile hitting him on the pitch, as nothing seemed to happen on the pitch, or may have prevented him from leaving. He went on to add that Albert had injuries to his shoulders, which could only be explained by a physical attack. He also suffered a blow to the head, which caused an indentation of the skull that impacted his brain. His upper body had injuries that showed signs of a struggle that resulted to a collarbone wound that, according to the pathologist, it is believed to have been caused by a knife. The doctor would strongly dismiss the Algerians' narrative of a projectile that was thrown, stating that it wasn't possible for the slate to cause such severe wounds like the ones found on the body. He went on further and stated the injury to the skull must have come from close range. The Algerian sports minister Mohamed Fahmy at the time refused to give any comments on the test results from Cameroon. Albert's father, Ebosse Bodjongo, believes his son's death was as a result of foul play, insisting his son was murdered. He still seeks justice for his son's mysterious death. The Algerian Justice Ministry investigated the family's claims brought forward by the family, though no official statements had been made by the club, the Algerian government, and even by the continent's football governing body, CAF. The family, through their lawyer, Jean-Jacques Bertrand, a high-profile sports lawyer, stated that there were a number of witnesses, but there was no testimony from anyone. He also expressed his disappointment in CAF and that they would rely on FIFA to get answers. His agent and lawyers insist that the club had been avoiding them, as the club still owed the player's family $169,000, as he still had a year left in his contract. The spate of hooliganism from the JSK was seen yet again in 2018 during a match between JSK and MC Alger, where the game had to be stopped severally, when Farid Chal, the MC Alger goalkeeper, was hit with rocks by the JSK fans. In 2019, a KFCL match played between El Meraik and JSK in Sudan, someone from the Meraik bench threw a sharp object onto the pitch, which made the game to be stopped for 5 minutes as the referees tried to find the object. The referees refused to restart the match until it was found, after the Meraik coaching staff tried to hide it. JSK pays tribute to the football player, and in 2021, JSK would play a match with Coton Sports, Albert's former club, and they would take a moment to honor the player in a KFCC match. Many Cameroonian fans and supporters from elsewhere believe the investigation to his murder was suppressed. Before his death, Albert was a father to a little girl, and also took care of one of his brother's children who had passed away. This tragic case highlights the issues of violence in football games. It also tarnishes the spirit of the game and the need for strict measures to ensure the safety of players and fans, as well as the need to encourage a culture of respect and sportsmanship for the sport. I could not find any new information with regards to this case, and I think that marks the end of this story for now. Albert was a young father and guardian to his late brother's children and a beloved figure in African football. Albert Ebosse's death remains shrouded in mystery, but his memories live on in his family. His loss brought great sorrow to his family, teammates, fellow countrymen and supporters. May he rest in peace. Thanks again for taking your time to watch another story. Be sure to look out for a new video in the coming days. Merci et reste béni.